Hello, friends. I welcome you all to this lecture 1 of ICR's JRF MBA Agribusiness examination, which is conducted by NTA for admissions under Masters of Business Administration in Agribusiness Management to various agricultural universities under Junior Research Fellowship under JRF. So, introducing myself, I have done my UG from Kerala Agriculture University, and thereafter cleared uh, the same exam for which I am taking the classes, and I have secured JRF and further gold medal from US Dharwad. And after that, in 2013, I have cleared UGC net in my second semester of MBA. Then ICR net in 2015, ARS mains I have cleared in 2015, and IBPS specialist officer in 2014. So let's begin. I had already recorded this lecture, but due to some technical glitch, the voice could not be recorded. So again, recording the same. Okay, let's start. So, coming to the social structure, friends, we will be covering this social and political structure only from the point of view of our exam, because sociology and political structure itself is a very vast topic, and all things are not mandated also for our course. So, discussing it, India is a country of ancient civilization, and rural centers and urban centers was a great divide, but nowadays the urbanization is much. Earlier, when rural centers were the production centers, when India was totally agrarian economy, uh, rural centers were the production centers and urban centers were the consumption centers. But now, since the industrialization has taken place, when the people are not solely dependent on agriculture, some changes happen. Now this rural and urban centers, they differ in terms of the size, demographic composition, cultural moorings, style of life, economy, employment, and social relations. Now coming to the housing pattern. Housing pattern of the rural and rural areas. Rural people live in settled villages, and three types of housing patterns are being followed. One is nucleated type, another is linear settlements, and final one is scattering of homesteads. So how these patterns are, just see one by one. Nucleated type house of villages surrounded by their fields. So suppose this is the surroundings, these are the fields, these are the fields. The houses will be like this. Houses will be like this. All the houses are surrounded by fields. Okay, so this is the nucleated type house. Then comes to linear settlement. What is linear settlement? Such type of housing is found in Kerala, Konkan, and delta lands of Bengal. The houses are surrounded by their own fields, and you cannot differentiate when one village ends and another starts. Okay, so such type of settlement is known as linear settlement. Then scattering of homesteads. This is found in the hilly areas where the life is somewhat difficult, and houses are totally scattered. Okay, so such type of houses are found in Himalayan foothills, highland of Gujarat, and Satpura range of Maharashtra. As all of us know that India is country of villages, and almost 6,50,000 villages are there, and almost 8,000 towns are there. So before going to the this, we must know. Let's see what is the urban and rural distribution. Rural distribution: 68% population lives in rural area, and 31.1% lives in urban area. So the population, the proportion of rural declined from 72.19% to 68.84%, and urbanization has been increased from 27.81% to 31.16%. So this shows that the urbanization is being increased. Now we are talking about rural and urban centers. Now let's know what exactly is rural center and what exactly is urban center. So urban centers, there are two types of definition. One urban unit is known as statutory urban unit, and or statutory town, and another is census town. So what is a statutory town and what is census town, we will see here. So a statutory town, all places with a municipality board, corporation, cantonment board, or notified town area committee is known as statutory town. Okay. Another places, all other places which satisfied the following criteria are known as census town. What is census town? Minimum population of 5,000. 75% of the male main workers are engaged in non-agricultural pursuits, and a density of population at least 400 per square meter. This may come in your exam. And all other area which do not satisfy these two conditions are categorized as rural areas. Okay. So it is very simple. A minimum population of, what is census town? A minimum population of 5,000, at least 75% male main workers are engaged in non-agricultural pursuits, and a density population of at least 400 per square kilometer. Okay. Now coming to the political structure of rural India. Whenever we talk about this political structure of rural India, one uh, term comes in our mind is PRI. PRI means Panchayati Raj institutions. So this coming to the level of Panchayati Raj institution, the journey of India is very big, and village panchayats were there since time immemorial, since very ancient time. And in very early age of our constitution also, article 40 of our constitution lays down to that the state would take steps to establish autonomous bodies in the form of village panchayats. Okay. In third 5-year plan, a methodology of preparing state plans for rural development on basis of district and block plans was evolved, and attempts were made to constitute three-tier system of Panchayati Raj institutions based on recommendations of Balwant Rai Mehta Committee in 1957. Then in December 1977, a committee on Panchayati Raj headed by Ashok Mehta was appointed. Thereafter, a committee headed by Professor C.H. Hanmanta Rao was incorporated in 1984, which went into the question of evolving methodology of district level planning, and recommended that planning process at the district level should be sufficiently decentralized. Decentralization means local self governance, means the decision at local level to be taken by local level leaders only. So what happens in this Panchayati Raj institution? A village headman, sarpanch or pradhan, whatever is called by nomenclature, he constitutes a committee, elected body, known as village panchayat, and he takes the local level decision and sort out the issues at village level itself. So this was possible through the Constitutional Amendment Act of 1992, which came through 73rd Amendment, and new part 9 consisting of 16 articles was added, and 11th schedule was added, in which these provisions were made what the creation of three-tier system of PRIs, gram panchayats, then at village level, Janpad Panchayat at block level, and Zilla Panchayat at district level. Okay, so with sufficient power and function contained in Schedule 11 of the Act. The creation of second thing, the creation of a state election commission to ensure free, fair, and timely election after the expiry of every 5 years, and creation of a state finance commission. A state finance commission was created after every 5 years to recommend devolution of financial resources from the state government to local bodies and also suggest measure for strengthening their financial position. Okay, so when something has to be done, some budget must be there. So this state finance commission will be devolving the financial resources in order to smooth functioning of local self governance. Economic structure of rural India I have covered in another 3 lectures, which for which the link is given in description and also in this slide. So you can go there and learn the economic structure of rural India. Giving a brief overview, India was an agrarian economy. Now the share of primary sector's contribution has fallen below 18% of total produce, and benchmark for being an agrarian economy is share of primary sector must be 50% or more, as it is less than 20% now. So you cannot call India as an agrarian economy now. However, 60% of population depends on the primary sector for its livelihood. You can go for this topic, you can go for this detailed videos, which is link is given here, and also you can scroll through the channel so that you will be finding the topic. Okay, now we will solve some questions which may come in exam related to social and political structure of India. So which of the following committee recommended Panchayati Raj system in India? So it was Balwant Rai Mehta committee. We have discussed it. How many tiers are there in Panchayati Raj system? So it is 3-tier system. Which of the following system is established on the basis of direct election? So gram panchayats are established with direct elections, and subsequent panchayats means Janpad Panchayat and Zilla Panchayat is established on the basis of indirect elections, means the representative elected by the direct elections, that is Gram Panchayat, they will be electing their representative at Janpad Panchayat and Zilla Panchayat. Now, which of the following statement is not correct? Panchayati Raj was established in India by Jawaharlal Nehru. That is correct. Madhya Pradesh was the first state which implemented the Panchayati Raj system. This statement is not correct, and correct statement you have to mention in your comment. 73rd constitutional amendment was implemented in 1992. That is correct. Tamil Nadu has adopted bicameral method. That is also correct. Now, which of the following article is related to Panchayati Raj? So, Article 243. What was the main purpose behind bringing the Panchayati Raj system in India? So, it was decentralization of the political power to the general people. Which schedule was added to the constitution by 73rd constitutional amendment? So, 11th schedule was added. How many posts are reserved for women at all level in Panchayati Raj system? 1/3. 33% reservation is there. This is the references which I followed for preparing this lecture for all of you, and if you want you can also go through these references. Thank you. So that's all for today's lecture, and if you find the video helpful, please like and share, and also subscribe to this channel, and whatever if suggestions are there, please comment, so that that will be very much helpful for me for improving. Thank you very much.